Alright. Hulk 316. More Jason Byrne Incredible Hulk. His third issue. We're already nearing the end of his run. And this is one of his most notable issues because we have Hulk fight a contingent of Avengers, the strong boys of the Avengers, plus David Banner's fight for life. And then here is She-Hulk's. This is good. It starts the issue off with a good talking point. When this came out, Jason Byrne was also writing She-Hulk's in Fantastic Force. So, as he continues on both books, it would have been good to see him utilise her in both Hulk and Fantastic Force. Jason Byrne has always been quite good at shared universe. We've seen it between his Alpha Strike and Fantastic Force runs earlier. And not just his books, he always had a decent back and forth with Royce Sternum on Avengers. And even much before that, we have got the reveal of who Charlotte Witch and the Flash, one of my favourite Marvel characters, who their dad was, quite subtly, in an issue of Uncanny Excellent Men. I think, by this point, he had also done the She-Hulk's graphic novel, which I've not read. Bringing She-Hulk's into Hulk is a great move. We get to see more of Jason Byrne's She-Hulk's before he went about making her into a comedy character. This was arguably the peak of She-Hulk's as a character. The mid to late 80s, when she was on Fantastic Force, or she was on the Avengers, or she was on both. She has come to the hospital to visit David Banner, currently in a coma after being forcibly separated from his green alter ego, who now runs amok in New Mexico without much of a mind. We also have the reappearance of the news reporter Diane Bellamy from the previous issue. She is reporting on this. And last time I pointed out that Hulk was confirmed to have killed 4 people. And now he is confirmed to have killed into the hundreds. I will come back to this, to Hulk's body count, because it is a thing. But now, the Avengers are called in to try and stop Hulk's rampage. They must have waited until he hit the triple figure mark before deciding to assemble. We have Iron Man and Wonder Man from West Coast Avengers. This is amazing. Jason Byrne's art in this issue, it is great seeing him draw the Avengers. His Wonder Man looks fantastic. His Iron Man too. And it is a simple pleasure, but getting to see these characters drawn so well is a highlight of the issue. Avenger Files, they are like paedophiles but for the Avengers. This would take place somewhere near the start of the West Coast Avengers ongoing. It's kind of difficult to fit it in because logically, if you go too far into that series, it makes no sense that they haven't dragged along the Thing to help out. I would say place it just before West Coast Avengers issue 1, maybe. But I am sure that means you would run into problems with the other Avengers who are featured. We get some absolutely astonishing artwork for these fights. I don't think it is the case I have nostalgia for this issue too much. It was one I have had for years and years. I got it for the obvious reason that it has the Avengers fighting Hulk by Jason Byrne. But I think I am able to separate my nostalgia from my critical assessment here. This is honestly quality. This is some of Jason Byrne's best artwork even. I also want to beat Robert the Subscriber to the punch here by declaring a lot of what we have here is reappropriated as artwork in the Andy books. Hulk's entry, Wonder Man's entry, Hercules Man's entry. We see a lot of it crop up in the Andy books. And with good reason. It is amazing pictures. I don't know what more you could want from this issue. I've barely even discussed the fighting itself. It is really good action with both the Avengers getting to do shit. We cut back to the hospital for more She-Hulks. What I do need to mention is that She-Hulks, before this, hasn't had a big presence in Incredible Hulk. Her major appearance in the series was in a Bill Bungalow issue 282. That is the only issue that really focuses on her and her relationship with her cousin. She is in other issues, Bill Bungalow ones, but her connection to Hulk isn't a big part of those stories. Even her solo series from back in the day. Outside of her origin, we never really had Hulk crop up in it, even in Royce Sternham's Avengers, or in Fantastic Force. We hadn't really done everything we could with exploring She-Hulks and Hulk. We didn't even have a dynamic for how the two would interact with each other beyond what that one Bill Bungalow issue gave us. The bits with She-Hulks break up our action-packed slugfest. Now, Seaman and Hercules Man have arrived, and much like the two other Avengers, they look tremendous. These four Avengers, they are an odd mix, but they are a great one too. As a team, if they had been an actual Avengers team instead of parts of two actual Avengers teams, I think as their own team, this might have been an exciting, unusual assortment. Iron Man leading three of the strongest Avengers. I think it's got a spark to it. As for these Avengers, Hercules Man and Seaman, I would place their appearance here after Avengers 263, which also means that it comes after Fantastic Force 286, which also helps with placement with regards to She-Hulks. But as I said, I don't think that lines up too well with West Coast Avengers. West Coast Avengers is probably up to about issue 5 by that point. The fighting, the artwork, it's brilliant. I love this. It is a lot of fun. We have Hercules Man, the strongest one here, and we have all the rubble and debris flying around and falling down. They're whacking each other with pipes and throwing each other into walls. And then, back with She-Hulks, we get a retelling of her origin, straight from She-Hulks issue 1. David Banner's lawyer cousin was shot by the Mafia. David Banner gave her a blood transfusion, and because his blood is filled with gamma radiation, She became a Hulk herself, but a sexy one. And also, unlike her cousin, she was more in control of her other side. I do feel this recap lacks an image showing her transformation. Yeah, we don't need to see it. We've already seen She-Hulks for a lot of this issue. But it feels like we are lacking a part of her origin, not to show her first transformation, or maybe a little montage of her antics as She-Hulks over the years. Now, Doc Shanna shows up and starts fighting the Avengers. He has also found some time to give himself an 80s leather makeover. Now, he is dressed like Michael Jackson in Thriller, and he has tied his hair back into a ponytail. That is cool, isn't it? And he is fighting the Avengers because he wants to be the one to stop Hulk. He feels it is his responsibility. And this is a crock of shit. It is his responsibility, sure. But when hundreds have already died, I think it is egotistical and insane to turn down the help of 4 of the mightiest heroes on Earth. This shouldn't be about Doc Shanna's feelings or his culpability. This should be about saving lives. He turns the Avengers away by saying, "Well, look at all the damage you have caused so far." Most of this happened before they got there. I don't think damaging already damaged property is that bad, when it is probably stopping Hulk from causing further damage elsewhere. Let's talk about that little brat Amadeus, though. In the mid-2000s, we were introduced to Amadeus Cho, the self-described 7th smartest person on the planet. He is a know-it-all teenager, and he became Hulk's friend, and later Hercules Man's friend. But he would argue the most annoying point ever for most of his first appearances. He would lecture Mr. Fantasticals, or Iron Man, or anyone else, about how Hulk has actually never ever killed anyone ever. In all his rampages, he has been so precise and deliberate so that nobody ever was armed. I don't think anybody likes that retcon. I don't think anyone liked Amadeus at that point. The holier-than-thou attitude, when he was fucking telling people that Hulk has never hurt anyone, as Hulk was destroying Earth. You might think to yourself, well, what about this? We have on-page confirmation hundreds have died in this town. No, it's alright. Amadeus loved moving the goalposts to keep his conclusion accurate. He would say, "Oh, that doesn't count because David Banner wasn't part of Hulk at the time. That doesn't count because Nightmare Man had driven him mad. That was in self-defense. Whatever. Captain America killed Nazis in the war, you know." There was a real whataboutism approach to retcons back then. They would put readers' points into the mouths of the opposing character, and then have this annoying child shrug his shoulders and dismiss it, and continue to claim Hulk has never killed anyone. Anyway, the Avengers are morons, and they agree to let Doc Shanna continue his pursuit of Hulk without them. You see, the important thing here is actually Doc Shanna's sense of obligation. It's not stopping a rampaging monster. The Avengers Charter specifies that they have to pull out of any situation if Doc Shanna has feelings of guilt. Of course, Doc Shanna will not succeed at stopping Hulk, and so all the Avengers will be called in to battle Hulk after Jason Byrne has left the series. We have got, again, an advertisement for Secret Wars II and some of its tie-in issues like Avengers and Fantastic Force. What a wonderful, if stupid in places, issue. That is my review of this. It is an issue I have actually already reviewed. There's starting to be a couple of cases like that. I originally gave this a 7 thumbs up, but after reading it this time, I think I will increase its rating to a 7 thumbs up.